Well, hello everybody. This is Charles Kemp, the mayor of Fairmont, and town manager Jerome Chestnut. I got it right this time. I didn't say it wrong. He's the money man today. You're gonna love this. I'm gonna say about two more sentences, and I'm gonna turn it over to Mr. Chestnut, who's gonna talk about money. As everybody in the world knows, you can't operate a town, a house, a business, Ford Motor Company without a budget. Now, you may have one in your mind if it's a small deal, but you're gonna have to have some kind of budget. If you take in $5,000, you can't spend $5,100. And that's what budgets are all about. Fortunately, we have a really good team here in this town, led by Mr. Chestnut, and he's going to shout out to whoever he needs to shout out to. That we've just gone through a whole process of about 3 months.
Yes, sir.
And last Tuesday night, the 23rd, we approved the budget. And tomorrow night, the 30th, we're going to do some other things that we have to do. But Mr. Chestnut, I'm going to turn it over to you. You the star of the show. Tell them about the budget, money, and counting, and all of that good stuff.
Right, Mr. Mayor. Hello to everybody out there, the citizens, and just to talk about the process, Mr. Mayor, that we just went through and finalized. And as you said, tomorrow night we're gonna close out the books on this current fiscal year. We call that closing out the amended budget for the current fiscal year.
Can I be a teacher just for a second?
Yes, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen, don't write me hate letters and don't curse me behind this camera. It is fiscal, Fiscal.
Yes, sir.
That's the financial year, not physical year. Physical year is January 1st to December 31st. That's with a PH.
Yeah, yeah.
And I've heard many people in my 46 years in government make that mistake. Fiscal is July 1st to June the 30th. Go ahead, Mr. Chester.
Yes, sir. And that's important for everyone to know, Mr. Mayor, because, when we file our taxes every year, it's based on the calendar year,
Right.
from January to December.
Right.
Local government does it a little bit different. They do it July the 1st to June the 1st. Now, you may not have known it, but the federal government actually does October the
Right.
1st to September the 30th.
Everybody's got their own thing.
Everybody has their own things, but it's all about the money, and let's just do another little teaching thing. Look at your local government budget as your home budget. And knowing that the local government budget is what is crafted to provide the local services to our citizens. Most of that revenue that comes into local towns and local governments are through property taxes.
Right.
And those pay the majority of our bills. Our police officers, our staff, our street lights. That's pretty much paid out of our property taxes. And then we have the rest of our staff is paid out through sales tax revenue, water and sewer tax or revenue, and that sort of thing, Mr. Mayor. But it's a very complex process for the staff to go through. We had a little bit of citizen involvement this year, but one of the things I wanted to take the time to talk about is getting them more involved. And you and I have talked about this a lot. But let me tell you about the finance team I have here, Mr. Mayor. We have a finance director who's been here nearly 30 years. We have a deputy finance officer who's been in local government probably closer to 10 years.
Right.
But a very good finance team that takes care of our money matters here in the town of Fairmont. And I'm proud to trust them. One of the things I tell everybody, is that there's not an invoice that comes through the town that I don't see.
Right.
We really manage our
I've seen
citizens.
other town managers doing that, and sometimes the stack is like that thick.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And it's just checks and balances, right? Yeah. There's no issues of any financial irregularities here. So it's a very good team that can be trusted to manage our town's money. What we're going to do going forward, though, is have a lot more budget conversations. We talked about this last week, but things are so complex. Things are changing so much.
And we have four budget workshops in June.
Yes, sir.
The first one we canceled because there was a lot of complications with people's schedules.
Correct.
Then we had a second one, and then a public hearing at the town board, and then the one we voted on,
Correct.
which we didn't have scheduled. We had to because we needed it.
Correct.
You can't put together and vote on a budget with 3 30-minute budget workshops.
Correct.
And I know exactly what you're saying.
Correct.
Now, we don't need to extend this out like a picnic and run it for 4 or 5 hours
Most
to wear
definitely.
people out, but we got to do better than
Most
showing
definitely.
up and vote.
Most definitely, Mr. Mayor. And just looking at what we're trying, and this is what complicates local budgeting, right? Is trying to predict, for one, the revenue that we're going to receive.
How much money we're going to get in.
Correct. Expenses. That is like probably the most complex part of it.
Who knew in January that we were going to go to war with Iran?
That's right.
And shut down the Strait of Hormuz, where
That's right.
80% of the world's oil comes through, was going to be shut down, and oil prices and gas prices go through the roof. Are you that smart?
No,
I know I'm not.
No one could have
Donald
predicted
doesn't call me.
No, or me, or me to let us know what's going on. So when the local government basis spikes, you know, in the consumer price index with cost of living increases, it's very hard for us to pass that on to, you know, our citizens in a matter of moments as these things happen in real world. You know, so we have to adjust our
Same
budget.
way with weather.
Yes, sir.
Who knew about Floyd and Hugo and all that?
That's right.
I didn't know it was coming.
That's
Nobody
right.
did. I mean, you can blame me for a lot of things, but you can't blame us for that.
Most
For not
definitely.
knowing when a hurricane's going to come through here and tear down 40% of our power lines.
That's right. And you know, as we look, you know, going forward, we have to have a stronger fund balance than what we have now. And that was
Explain that to them.
right.
I've had to explain that to people that I work with in government. They just don't understand it.
Correct.
The simple way is
Your fund balance is nothing different than your personal savings at
there it
your
is,
house.
folks. Savings account.
Your personal savings, you know. You always, you know, they tell us as citizens and people in America that we should have 3 months of living expenses in case of emergencies within our families.
Well, that's the one thing that I've always hated about government. There's several, but that's the main one. The language.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
The average person has no idea what fund balance means.
That's right. That's right.
They know what a savings account is.
Yes, sir. Yes,
So
sir.
maybe what we ought to do is pass a local ordinance that we're going to start calling savings accounts from now on.
And it wouldn't be the worst of things, right? Because we want to educate our citizen on why it's important
Right.
to have a balanced budget. You know, it's something that our state has been dealing with for the past 3 years, negotiating to create a balanced budget, right? We have to do something similar at the local government level, and that's create a agreement between the governing body, which is the Board of Commissioners. Sole responsibility is to make sure that the town doesn't go broke. That's the Board of Commissioners. You know, ultimate responsibility is to be the guardian of the purse.
And we're not, because I'm sitting here.
That's
Mr. Chestnut's sitting
Yeah.
here. Because if that was not, it was the case, there'd be couple of people from Raleigh,
right.
the local government commission representatives will walk in and say, Mr. Chestnut, you can go on home. Mr. Kemp, you can go on home.
That's right. We're running for you.
Ms. Chestnut, Ms.
Larson.
Larson, you can go on home, and they take over.
Most definitely.
They've done that in this state.
Most definitely. And so what I do is I serve as a budget officer to serve as basically the liaison between the Board of Commissioners who authorize the money to be spent and our department heads that spend the money accordingly to run the town through their departments to provide services for our citizens. So it's a balancing act of how we work together. You know, our department heads requested some things that we weren't able to do based on money. There was members of our governing body that wanted to see certain things done that couldn't be done because of the money. So that's where it's on my staff and I, to create a budget that, for one, works for both of us, right? It allocates, things that we need to do to continue to go business, but it's also, you know, brings the Board of Commissioners intentions on making sure the department heads are supported through getting the things that they need and asking those difficult questions. What is it that you need, and when we can provide that? That is something that we've got to get better on.
I bet you all the Reese's cups that I have in my refrigerator right
There's a
now
lot.
at my house, what I'm about to say is the truth. And I hate to have to give up my Reese's cups. When we went out looking for a town manager in the summer of 2022, I will bet you when Mr. Chestnut decided he wanted to apply, one of the first, if not the first thing he did, was to get a copy of, or at least ask questions about, what is Fairmont's budget.
Most definitely.
Because you didn't want to walk into
That's right.
A situation, open door, walk into a room when there's no floor.
That's right. And we see that across the state. We see it across the country,
Right.
Mr. Mayor. And some of those situations result as through no fault of their own. Those people sitting there in those positions, and we have to understand, local government is a continuing of effort through the years. You know, uh, we can fall into a trap where we can forget about the things that we need to move the town forward. That's why it's so important to have a good staff, and a long term staff that can keep track of these things that we've been holding on for years that needs to be replaced. And it's my job to go after the money to make those things happen, or figure out a way for the town to generate money going forward. So
And you on record, I'm saying this to thousands and thousands of people. If you can go on YouTube, you can hear me say this. This man, in the last almost 4 years, 3 years and 11 months, has done a heck of a job getting us money, grant monies, government funds, enterprise money, to do the things we need that we could never, never be able to do without it.
and it's the fact of the uncertainty of how we continue to do things. Um, the way the federal government funds things, the way the state government funds things, over the next 6 months, I'm really going to focus hard on really solidifying and encouraging growth in our community where we need it, so we can be better stewards of not only taxpayers money, but we want to be able to provide more. We want to be able to have our citizens able to access more services at the local level to grow our community. And I'm going to leave it at this. One of the things that we have to just challenge ourselves over the next 6 months is, how do we take the vacant property in our town and turn it around for housing, for revenue generation, sports, entertainment, restaurants. The opportunities out there are just unlimited on things that we can go after, to make our town stronger for the future. And you're gonna see considerable effort by myself and staff going forward over the next 6 months on that.
I can prove what I'm going to say by this example. Last night, last night, Sunday night, we always have our fireworks. It rained multiple times, and there were people, normally 5:30, 6 o'clock, come down to hear the band and then wait for the fireworks. They couldn't do that because it was pouring down rain.
That's right.
I got 19 phone calls and or texts within 1 hour at my house wanting to know, had the fireworks been canceled. Now, that's not saying I'm not giving you that to tell you I'm popular or nothing like that. I'm simply, it was a resource that they knew they could depend on, because they knew already knew the answer to that, because I already talked to the person in charge. If you make something popular and interesting,
Yes.
and people are going to be involved in it, here's the tie-in. We're about to build an apartment complex. It's going to hold somewhere between 60 and 70 apartments in our town. Been some controversy about it, but it's going to happen. When that happens, it's finished. They give people keys and let them go in the doors and live in the houses. I guarantee you, people are going to say, where are you living? I live over in Fairmont. You ought to come see this place. This is the bomb.
Yeah.
There is going to be renewed interest in Fairmont, North Carolina.
Most definitely.
Maybe there's not going to be able to get an apartment out there because they'll be full. I know there will be. But people will say, why don't y'all do something else? So Mr. Chestnuts gets on the phone, and pretty soon we get a $4 million, $5 million, $8 million grant to build townhouses or whatever. Fairmont is on the precipice, the very edge right now of leaping forward. I know that. I can feel it.
Yes, sir.
And whether I'm here or not to see it, 20, 30 years from now, Fairmont's going to be a better place.
Most definitely. And I believe that one of the things that, you and I talk about often is the hope for a better community.
Absolutely.
And I see that hope really coming to a realization here in Fairmont more so than anywhere else. Not because no one else can expect that growth, right? Because I know the effort that we are putting forth here. Us as the Board of Commissioners, as staff, as department heads, we have to move forward with things that may or may not be controversial going in the future when it comes to growth for the town of Fairmont.
As long as there is a beat left in my heart, and the people have given me the opportunity and a term to be this mayor of this town and to work with this fine man here, I will not allow Fairmont to go backwards. Charlie Stafford would turn over in his grave if he knew that we had not done all we could to make Fairmont go forward. And I could name 1,000 other names, but his was the first one that came to my mind because he's the Mount Everest of Fairmont pioneers.
Yes, sir.
We're not going to let Fairmont fall. And every year we're going to have a budget, and it's going to be workable and manageable. And Mr. Chestnut and his folks are proud to have put it together, and I'm glad to have brought that to you today. And Mr. Chestnut, you keep plugging away and doing what you do, and Fairmont's going to be good.
Most definitely, Mr. Mayor.
Thank y'all very much for listening. And next week we'll be talking to Chief Jonathan Evans, our new police chief, and then Captain Harris after that. And who knows after that? I might even get the president down here.
That's right.
Clean out a pool or something.
That's right.
Y'all have a good week. Bye-bye.